Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. I slam the time clock button and the thing beeps. Jake strolls in 10 minutes late like nothing is wrong. My name is Mark, I am 38 and already done with him. He reaches for a blank badge clip with that lazy grin. I block the rack with my hand and wait. You know what time we open, my voice comes out hard. He freezes, fingers still on the plastic clip. 8, he answers, eyes sliding past my shoulder toward the floor. It is 8:13, I tap the clock like a judge. He laughs once, nervous, and that is when everything tilts. I got a reason, he lifts both hands like a shield. If he had shrugged, I might have written him up. He does not shrug, he presses his palms together and breathes. My father got yeeted off this planet, he finally says. The phrase hangs there stupid and sharp and I just stare. I wait for a punchline, some smirk, some wink. None comes, only that weird tight line where his mouth is. What does that even mean? My throat feels dry and tight. He swallows and looks at the clock like it might help. Someone shot him last night, he whispers, and the room shrinks. For a second I think I misheard, like my brain glitched. Jake keeps talking, words tumbling but never quite forming details. Cops tape all that, they called me at 3. His chest jumps with a short breath that never finishes. I cannot be here right now, not like this. He leans on the wall and his knees almost buckle. The usual smartass posture is gone, only raw jitter remains. I know policy, I helped write half those stiff rules. Bereavement requests go through HR, not through a hallway showdown. Right then, none of that matters as much as his knuckles. They are white around the badge clip he still clutches. He is not looking at me anymore, only at his shoes. Behind him, I feel other people slowing near the doorway. They pretend to walk by, eyes glued to the floor tiles. Everyone hears the word shot and pretends they did not. You want today, I ask, or more than that? The question surprises both of us, it leaves my mouth first. He lifts his head like he expected a lecture, maybe worse. 2 days, he answers, pupils wide, voice a thin wire. If I stay, I am going to break on your floor. That line hits harder than the fake-sounding yeeted thing. I picture him snapping in front of customers and security footage. I picture myself explaining that to a tight-faced HR manager. Take today and tomorrow, I tell him, each word deliberate. We will cover, just go handle whatever this is. He nods, then shakes his head, then nods again. No thank you, no apology, just this stunned half-bow. His hands fumble the badge clip back on the rack. He wipes his face with his sleeve like he forgot I exist. Then he heads for the exit with a stumble he tries to hide. People scatter from his path like they might catch something. One of the cashiers glances at me, eyebrows almost touching. I do not say a word, I just jerk my chin. She understands enough to drop the curiosity for now. Still, I can feel the question trailing after him like smoke. I step into the break room and grab the schedule. Jake's name is in the middle of a busy column. I draw a line through today, then through tomorrow slow. Ink bites into the paper harder than I intend. It feels like I am carving instead of writing, which bothers me. On my way back out, my reflection catches in the door glass. I look like the strict manager I used to mock from below. Jaw locked, eyes already calculating coverage and overtime requests. Somewhere under that, something softer pushes against my ribs. I do not know yet that this will not be the last line I cross for him. My work laptop pings hard enough to startle me. A direct message from HR fills the corner of the screen. They notice the schedule change and the emergency note already. Reason for 2 consecutive unpaid days, waits in the chat. My fingers hover over the keys longer than they should. I type that there was a death in his immediate family. The truth sticks halfway through my hands and throat. HR replies almost instantly with a short formal block. Please provide supporting documents when available, flashes under my line. Policy speaks louder than compassion when screens are involved. I minimize the window and step out to the main area. The team moves faster than usual because they feel watched. They always sense when management carries something sharp and unsaid. Anyone know his dad well comes out sharper than planned. A few heads lift, then drop again to avoid involvement. One technician shrugs without looking away from his station. Met him once in the lobby, comes out under his breath. Another worker mutters that the guy seemed loud and confident. That word confident sticks to my ribs for a second. Nothing here sounds like a man who vanished last night. Doubt starts small, just a tiny shift behind my eyes. I tell myself I am tired and reading thin. GS wrong. Still, my mind replays his choice of words from earlier. That strange, joking image shows up again at full volume. I realize I never actually heard the word funeral from him. I grab my phone and step into the supply closet. The signal barely holds, but the social apps still load. I pull up his profile and skim through the recent posts. Memes, jokes, game clips, nothing with candles or black ribbons. No quiet announcement, no family message, no hint of loss. Maybe he is private about that side of life. Maybe family wants silence until arrangements get settled somewhere else. I cling to those excuses while scrolling through more stories. Everything on his page still moves at normal speed. The world there does not know about gunshots or sirens. A text buzzes from one of my shift leads. Check your messages when you can pops up on screen. The tone is not casual, not friendly, just urgent. I open the attachment and stare at the preview thumbnail. His face fills the frame with a wide, reckless expression. He stands in a crowded kitchen with a drink raised. Music blurs in the background through someone's shaky recording. Voices shout over each other until one thing lands. To my old man getting launched, he yells toward the camera. Everyone around him howls and bangs on the counter. My chest tightens in a way that has nothing to do with workload. I look at the timestamp under the video for confirmation. The clip went up an hour after he left our building. Not last night, not before the supposed tragedy, but after. Any benefit of the doubt starts to slip from my grip. I replay the first seconds without sound to be sure. His body language screams party, not shock or mourning. He tilts his head back and laughs with his whole torso. One coworker leans in and shouts something I cannot make out. Whatever it is, nobody there seems afraid of bad news. Anger shows up before I can talk myself down. Not explosive anger, more like a quiet locked door inside. The idea that he used a fake death for time off burns. I picture HR reading bereavement while this video loops beside it. I understand exactly how fast this can turn into a report. My thumbs move before my brain fully catches up. Call me tonight goes out as a text to him. I stare at the message details until the status flips. Delivered appears under my words like a tiny challenge. I wait for those 3 dots that mean someone is replying. His answer lands before I leave the hallway. Cannot talk with family right now shows on the screen. That phrase hits different after watching the celebration clip. Family could mean anything when you are clinking drinks at noon. I lock the phone because throwing it would feel too satisfying. For the rest of the shift, I move on autopilot. Approvals, overrides, quick decisions, everything done at surface level. Underneath, my brain keeps dragging the video back up. Every time a customer complains about something small, I clench harder. Somewhere between returns and inventory, I cross an unseen line. By closing time, I know this will not stay internal. HR questions do not evaporate when documentation never appears. Coworkers keep whispering in corners, glancing at my office door. If I ignore all of this, I own it completely. If I push it, I might break whatever trust he still has. When the last register shuts down, I open my phone again. I scroll through our message thread searching for anything sane. Old jokes, shift swaps, nothing that looks manipulative or cruel. The most recent line still reads, "With family right now." I picture that kitchen clip beside those words and choose confrontation. I start drafting another text and erase it 3 times. Every version swings too far toward rage or softness. In the end, I only write 3 plain words to him. "We need to talk" glows on the screen with no cushion. I hit send and already know the next chapter of this mess will not be simple. He walks in on his next shift like nothing exploded. No request, no question, just a swipe toward the clock. I catch his wrist before he hits the button. "We are talking now." I move my hand to the office door. He freezes just long enough that I know he remembers my text. He follows me down the short hallway without a word. Each step sounds deliberate, almost rehearsed, like he practiced this. I hold the office door open and let him pass first. He drops into the chair but does not lean back. That rigid posture tells me more than any apology could. I close us in and put my phone on the desk. For a moment, neither of us touches it or speaks. How is your father? I ask it flat, no cushion. His jaw tightens and he studies anything that is not me. Pretending this is small would only drag everything out longer. You got my message, I tap the screen once for emphasis. He nods, eyes flicking to the phone then away. Then you know this is not about attendance anymore. He shoves fingers against his knees, waiting for impact. I decide to stop circling and just rip the thing open. I bring up the recording from the kitchen and hit pause. The frame shows him mid-toast, mouth wide, arm lifted. I slide the phone across until it bumps his hand. He stares at the frozen image like it belongs to someone else. Every trace of that lazy grin from before is gone. He swallows hard and presses his lips together. For a few seconds, I almost believe he will deny everything. Where did you get that? His voice scrapes more than it sounds. I tilt my head toward the main floor without looking away. Your coworkers are not as discreet as you hope. He exhales through his nose, short and sharp. That clip looks bad. His fingers tap the desk in uneven bursts. Looks accurate. I lean forward until he finally meets my eyes. You told me your father was gone, yet there you are celebrating him getting launched. The last word tastes foul coming from me. His shoulders drop, then jerk back up like he catches himself. I lied. The words come out fast like they hurt leaving. Which part? I keep my tone steady and quiet. He rubs his face with both hands, dragging them slowly down. All of it and also not all of it. That answer snaps whatever thin patience I had left. You used a fake killing to get time off. My voice rises before I can choke it down. HR flagged bereavement while you were lifting drinks for a bit. I let that sit there, heavy and unpolished. He is not dead. The last word breaks in the middle. He grips the armrests like he expects them to disappear. I woke up to a call. That part is real. His throat moves as he swallows once, twice, still dry. He told me the tests were useless now, the treatment failed. I do not say anything because anything careless will smash him. He keeps talking like this is some countdown game. His hands mimic a falling object, then stop halfway. He started using that stupid launch joke about himself. Now I hear the phrase in the recording with a new edge. He wanted a send-off while he can still stand. The muscles in his cheeks twitch when he says that. That get-together was his idea, not mine. He taps his chest with 2 fingers, harder each time. I just carried the joke into a place it never belonged. I ask when that gathering happened because timing suddenly matters. The night before I came here spinning that story. He drags in air like it weighs something. He kept telling everyone he was already gone, just waiting for paperwork. I feel the floor tilt a little under the cruelty of that humor. So why tell me someone shot him? I keep it narrowed. There were real victims that night, just not him. He stares at the filing cabinet like it might offer help. Somebody else in the building got hurt when things went sideways. He flinches at his own words like a sound only he hears. He leans forward, elbows on his thighs now. I panicked when you blocked the clock and started asking. His fingers lace together so tight the knuckles stand out. If I said I needed a break for a living wake, you would have thought I was joking. He does not blink while he waits for my response. The worst part is he is not entirely wrong about that. Our company handbook has neat little boxes for acceptable reasons. Dying later is not on the list anywhere. Policy does not cover what you are actually dealing with. Hearing myself admit that out loud unsettles me. But I still cannot ignore this stunt. I tap the phone again. This can cost you your job, and I am the one who signs off. He nods like he already sentenced himself 2 days ago. I know I crossed a line and dragged you with me. The guilt in his voice lands heavier than any excuse. I ask him one more thing before deciding anything. Is your father aware you used that line here? He lets out a short, bitter laugh, nothing like the party noise. He told me yesterday I should have just written he was terminal, not launched. That word hangs there, stranger now that it is honest. I picture HR asking for documents, arguing over phrases. I picture this kid trying to translate a morbid joke into corporate form. Somewhere in that mess, my anger starts to cool into something sharper. You want to keep working here, then you stop turning real pain into cartoon language. I am not sure who I am warning more, him or myself. I will mark those days as unpaid personal, not bereavement. Each syllable feels like a contract I am drafting on the fly. You will talk to HR directly if they call you in. He nods again, slower this time, eyes damp but focused. If anything else changes with your father, you tell me straight. He breathes out long and shaky, like he has been holding it for days. Thank you for not firing me on the spot. His fingers finally relax their death grip on the chair. I will handle things better, or at least stop turning tragedy into memes. I was NT to believe him, but doubt lingers like a shadow under the desk. When he leaves the office, I do not follow right away. I sit with the silent phone between my hands. On the screen, his frozen party face still waits at half brightness. I delete the recording, but not the memory of how easily he lied with a straight gaze. Back then, I thought that would be the last time death became a tool on my watch. The call from HR hits before I finish my first coffee. I swipe to answer and their rep jumps straight to business. We still have missing documentation for that family incident. My jaw moves before my brain. I reclassified those hours already. Silence stretches on the line long enough to feel like a warning. We are aware of your adjustment. Her tone stiffens around each word. Our concern now is whether the initial reason was truthful. There it is, the thing I hoped they would ignore. I stare through the office glass at the team moving around. One wrong response from me and I drag all of this into an investigation. I tell her I confronted him and changed his status. I do not mention the kitchen toast or that awful chant. On their end, I hear keys knocking in a steady rhythm. So there was misrepresentation, she phrases it like a charge. My grip tightens on the phone until my fingers ache. She explains the possible outcomes slowly, like I am a trainee. Written notice, loss of trust, termination if they decide it fits. Your discretion allowed him to keep working here for now. The word discretion lands like both praise and threat at once. They end the call reminding me that future claims must be exact. I hang up and step out, pulse hammering in my throat. On the floor, he fumbles a transaction and mutters an apology. His movements look jerky today, no rhythm, no swagger at all. He glances up once and catches me watching from the aisle. We both look away at the same time like we rehearsed it. Later, between customers, I wave him toward the side corridor. He wipes his palms on his pants and follows without arguing. We stop near the supply door, close enough to hear the floor. HR called about your little story. I keep my voice low. He flinches, shoulders pulling in like he is bracing for impact. They going to can me, his eyes flick toward the exit. Not yet, I lean back against the wall to keep still. They know you stretched the truth, I told them I handled it. He stares at my shoes instead of my face. You did not have to cover me twice. Covering you is not the point anymore, I fold my arms tighter. You are walking around with 2 detonators in your pocket. He blinks, work and home. He exhales through his nose, sharp, then looks down the hall. Home is worse right now. I ask how his father is doing today, not in general. He chews his lip before he answers, then looks toward the ceiling. He keeps calling, I keep letting it ring through. He pulls his phone out and shows a line of missed numbers. One voicemail notification sits alone at the bottom like a dare. Play it, the word leaves my mouth before I soften it. He weighs the phone in his palm, then taps the screen. A rough voice bursts through the speaker, weary but still loud enough. If you are going to vanish, do it after you visit me. The message ends with a cough that sounds like ripping paper. He stares at the floor during the whole recording. My chest feels tight in a different way than yesterday. I watch his thumb hover over the delete icon, then pull back. He does not know about the lie here, he finally meets my eyes. He just thinks I am avoiding him for fun. Before I can answer, someone down the hall cracks a joke. Careful or we will get launched like his old man, a voice calls. Laughter follows, quick and nervous, traveling faster than it should. I see his entire body go rigid, head snapping toward the sound. By the time I step forward, he is already moving. He storms around the corner and straight at the group. Say that again, his words hit harder than any shove. The others back up, hands lifted, smiles gone. It was just a joke, one of them glances past him toward me. I get between them before he decides to make it physical. Back to your station, my tone leaves no room for input. He breathes like he just sprinted a mile, chest rising fast. For a second, I think he might push past me anyway. Instead, he pivots away and drives his fist into the wall once. The drywall dents, and every head nearby swivels in our direction. I walk him to the rear exit before anyone starts recording. Out there, the quiet feels heavier than the air inside. He presses his forehead against the cool metal door and laughs once. That phrase keeps following me around like a curse. He drags a hand through his hair, fingers catching on a knot. You gave it power when you used it here. The words feel harsh, but I do not pull them back. He nods, jaw clamped so hard I can see the muscle. Ease jump. I know, I turned his worst joke into a permission slip. His eyes shine, but nothing drops yet. I take a breath and realize I am done watching passively. You are clocking out early today. I pull my own keys out. He straightens fast, suspicion and fear hitting at once. If this is about what happened in there, I can smooth it out. This is not discipline, we are going to your father. He stares like I spoke in another language. No, you do not have to get involved like that. Too late, I unlock my car fob and jerk my head toward the lot. You clearly are not going alone, so you are going with me. I know if I give him a choice, he will run. He hesitates at the threshold, then follows with a reluctant shuffle. In the car, he grips the handle above the door in silence. I pull out of the spot and wait for him to speak first. He finally mutters an address, voice low, almost swallowed. Every turn I take feels like a step into someone else's life. We ride in a weird quiet broken only by his ringtone. It buzzes twice with his father's name lit across the screen. He flips the phone face down without answering either call. You realize you are about to see him anyway, my tone softens. I know that is what scares me. He stares out his window as buildings blur by. When I see him like this, I cannot pretend anymore. His knee bounces against the dash in a fast tremor. If I keep my distance, he stays like he was in my head. That confession lands heavier than anything from the office conversations. I grip the wheel tighter to keep my own thoughts quiet. I remember times I dodged hard conversations until it was too late. Maybe I am dragging him towards something he will hate me for. Maybe he will thank me in a year, maybe he will quit. All those outcomes sit on my shoulders as we hit the turn. We pull into a narrow driveway that feels too short for backing out. He unbuckles but does not reach for the door handle. Can you give me a minute? His voice sounds hoarse and smaller. I kill the engine and nod, even though my pulse climbs. He sits completely still, then suddenly laughs under his breath. I used to brag about him to friends, he shakes his head. Now I am scared to even look at him. I resist the urge to fill the silence with something comforting. Instead, I lean forward and rest my forearms on the wheel. Knock once, if it is unbearable, we walk away. That simple rule seems to give him a target. He draws in one long breath, then pushes the door open. I step out too and close my side quietly behind me. We walk to the entrance together, footsteps out of sync. He lifts his hand and hesitates inches from the wood. For a heartbeat, he seems ready to bolt back down the path. I slide my palm between his shoulders, steady but light. You do not have to be brave forever, just for this knock. He nods without turning, then wraps his knuckles against the surface. We wait, listening for movement inside, while everything between us and that door threatens to change. The door flies open on the second knock, not the first. A thin man grips the frame with one hand like it might sprint. His gaze jumps from Jake to me and lingers on my badge. So this is the manager you hustled, he barks, half amused. Behind the grin I catch something sharp that makes me stay alert. Jake huffs out a breath that is almost laughter, almost panic. Relax, he drove me, I did not drag him here. The older man squints at my face like he is memorizing details. You buying whatever story he fed you about me? His eyebrows go up, waiting to see if I flinch. I am here because he kept skipping your calls. The words land heavier than I intend, but I do not correct them. Jake's shoulders creep toward his ears as if the temperature dropped. The man's grin thins, then returns, a little more forced. Well, that tracks, he mutters, then steps back from the entrance. A stale, sour smell hits as soon as we cross inside. My first instinct is to back out and gasp in the driveway. I see Jake's jaw tighten and watch him refuse to retreat. If he can stand it, I decide I can too for now. Every breath feels like a choice, not a reflex. The older man limps toward a sagging couch and lowers himself carefully. Do not touch the arm there, it tries to bite strangers. He pats a safe spot and gestures for us to sit somewhere. Jake ignores the couch and stays standing near the edge of the room. His fingers slide in and out of his pockets like he lost something important. So, work buddy, the man studies me as if I am a project. You the one who handed out that little mini vacation. I nod once, keeping my expression flat, not friendly, not hostile. He told you I got blasted into space, right? His eyes flicked to Jake, then back, daring me to answer wrong. He told me you were gone in a violent way. I do not repeat the exact phrase, I do not need to. The man snorts and coughs, the sound SC. Raping the air. Kid always did like drama more than facts. He thumps his chest twice, then winces like it backfires. Jake flinches and takes a half step closer, then stops. You started it, he mutters, hands balling near his sides. You are the one who keeps making routines about dying. The older man waves him off, a shaky cutting motion. Yeah, but I did not drag your boss into the bit. I watch their exchange and realize this script has run before. Same rhythms, different audience, more stakes with me in the room. I clear my throat because I need to steer us somewhere useful. He got in trouble at work over that story. The man's eyes sharpen in a way that looks instantly more sober. He turns toward his son and tilts his head. You catch any formal write-ups over it yet? Jake stares at the floor and shakes his head once. Not yet, he blocked it from getting that far. He jerks his chin in my direction without actually looking at me. The man lets out a whistle that turns into another rough cough. So you run interference for idiots, he gives me a slow nod. That explains why he still has a uniform. I feel irritation rise, then push it down behind my ribs. Covering him once is different from endorsing the stunt. The older man leans back, eyes on the ceiling for a second. When I started joking about my clock running out, that was mine. He shifts his gaze back to Jake, narrowing it. You took that line and used it for laziness. Each word hits like a small slap that leaves no mark but stings. Jake's face goes red and he crosses his arms, defensive. You kept turning your appointments into material for the room. His voice wavers, then steadies, fueled by something raw. You call the nurse your stagehand, you call chemo a halftime show. His mouth trembles, but he holds the gaze instead of dropping it. The older man stops smiling for the first time since we arrived. For a moment the bravado drains and age shows up hard. That is me trying not to scare everyone off, he murmurs. It seems I overshot with you. His hand rubs the spot on his chest in slow circles, thoughtful now. They both fall quiet and the room hums with all the things unsaid. I step into that gap before it fills with more sarcasm. He twisted the line at work because he could not explain this. I gesture between the two of them, not at the failing body. A real explanation might have gotten ignored as oversharing, honestly. The older man studies me again, longer this time. You telling me your corporate folks cannot handle the word dying? I shrug and meet his gaze, unwilling to sugarcoat. They can handle paperwork, the messy parts make everyone nervous. He barks out a laugh that ends in another hacking fit. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, then points. You fire him for that spin or just scare him a little? The question carries more weight than any HR voicemail. Right now he still has a job, I answer, slow and firm. Next stunt like that, I cannot promise anything. Jake's head snaps toward me, searching for something in my face. He does not speak, but his breathing speeds up in small bursts. The older man nods once, satisfied with the answer. There, that is actually fair. He lifts his hand toward his son. You listening or just sulking? Jake steps forward finally and drops onto the couch edge. The cushion dips and his knees angle inward like he is shrinking. You kept calling and I kept dodging, he admits, voice rough. I did not want to see how bad it got. His fingers twist together until the knuckles pale. Congratulations, you are now fully updated. The older man spreads his arms in a grand gesture. This is the deluxe version of me not bouncing back. The joke lands flat even for him. He notices and lets his arms fall, shoulders sagging. I wanted to remember you upright, making noise, not this. Jake stares straight ahead, eyes glassy but stubbornly dry. If I did not show up, I could pretend it was a phase. He drags in air through his nose like it hurts. Walking in here made it real. The older man watches him, expression softer, almost gentle now. If you ghost me while I am still breathing, that is unforgivable. He leans forward, elbows on his thighs, breathing slightly faster. You can hide from my tests and my doctor, not from me. His voice thins, but the force behind it stays strong. I sit there and feel like I am eavesdropping on something sacred. Part of me wants to stand up and leave them to it. Another part knows he asked me along for a reason. Maybe I am witness, maybe I am leverage, maybe both. Either way, I am tangled in this whether I like it or not. The older man shifts his focus back to me suddenly. When I finally stop answering his calls, that will be the real thing. He points a shaky finger toward my chest for emphasis. You give him time then, even if he asks for nothing. The request lands somewhere bed. Wean command and play. My throat tightens in a way I do not show on my face. I can block out days if he tells me what is happening. I keep my tone calm, but there is something different in it. I cannot support lies, I can work around reality. Those words feel like they are aimed at both of them. Jake swallows hard and nods, staring at his hands. No more fake tragedies about you, he murmurs almost to himself. If I cannot handle what is coming, that is on me. The older man reaches over and taps his knee twice. Start by answering when I call, not hiding behind memes. A phone vibrates on the table beside him and all three of us jump. He picks it up, checks the screen, and rolls his eyes. Clinic again, they want me in next week for more bad news. His thumb hovers over the decline button, then lands on accept instead. Fine, book it, he grunts, listening with growing annoyance. He ends the call with a curt goodbye and sets the phone down hard. Looks like you will get another round of suspense soon. The attempt at humor barely covers the tremor in his hand. Jake leans forward as if to steady him, then stops halfway. Even that hesitation shows how off balance he feels. Eventually, I check the time and clear my throat. We should head out before my crew thinks I vanished. Jake stands slowly, like the air in the room got heavier. The older man pushes himself up and holds his arms out. For a second, I think Jake will refuse the hug. He steps in and wraps both arms around his father tight. The man closes his eyes and rests his chin on his shoulder. Next time you need a breather, do not bury me for practice. He pats his back twice, firm despite the weakness. Save that announcement for when I actually stop answering. Jake laughs on an exhale that sounds dangerously close to a sob. Yeah, no more practice funerals, he manages, pulling back. His face looks younger and older at the same time. He wipes his nose with the back of his hand, quick. Neither of them mentions my presence for a moment. On our way out, the older man addresses me one last time. Boss man, he waits until I look over. You see him crashing, you kick him toward here, not away. His eyes hold mine with a focus that leaves no room for argument. I nod once because anything else would feel like a lie. Back in the car, neither of us speaks right away. The house shrinks in the mirror as I pull onto the street. Jake finally blows out a slow breath and slumps against the seat. I should have done that weeks ago, he mutters, voice raw. I kept waiting for some perfect day that never showed up. You did it now, I keep my gaze on the road ahead. Next time you hit a breaking point, you come to me early. I glance over long enough to make sure he hears the offer. If you need space, you ask for it without turning it into a sketch. The promise feels risky but also necessary. He nods, eyes fixed on nothing outside his window. If I screw up again, I get it, I am gone. There is no bargaining in his tone this time, just acceptance. I do not answer that part, not out loud. In the mirror, the doorway we left behind shrinks to a small dark square, and I cannot shake the sense that one day soon it will stay shut for good. My phone rattles across the conference table and every head turns. I flip it over under the agenda and see his name. 3 words sit on the screen, no emojis, no slang. He is dead now. The room noise dulls until all I hear is my own pulse. Someone at the far end keeps talking about quarterly targets. Their voice blurs as I push my chair back and stand. I have an urgent staffing issue, I cut in, already moving. Nobody argues, they just watch me leave with raised eyebrows. They have no idea this is payback for the last story. In the hallway, I call him instead of replying by text. He answers on the second ring, breathing hard into the line. I missed his last call last night, spills out in a rush. They found him on the floor this morning. That last word breaks enough that I lean against the wall. Where are you? My voice comes out flatter than I feel. At his place, they are still here with him. A door clicks on his end and muffled voices sweep through. I do not know what to ask them for. The panic in that admission cuts through my annoyance and my rules. I am coming, I hear myself say before thinking through anything. You are supposed to be at work, he blurts, then sucks in air. Forget that, I answer, surprising both of us. Text me the address again and do not leave yet. If I let him bolt now, he will be sprinting from this for years. I duck into my office and grab my keys from the drawer. HR pings my laptop with a pop-up about the meeting I abandoned. I type back one short message with shaking hands. Employee's parent just passed, I am handling coverage and leave. The cursor blinks under it like it wants more explanation. Their reply appears. Before I can close the lid. Is this the same family member from the prior incident? I stare at that line and feel old irritation flare up. Same person, this time it actually happened, I write. It is blunt, but I am done dancing around his earlier lie. There is a long pause before their next response appears. Document as bereavement, confirm dates when known. No lecture, no additional reminders, just those two sentences. I grab my jacket and head out before they can change tone. For once, policy is not driving my next move. The ride over feels faster than the first time I visited. Traffic blurs by without sticking in my memory at all. My stomach twists each time I picture that doorway again. Last time we walked up as a team of 3. This time it is just me and he is already inside. When I pull up, there is a van outside in one patrol car. He stands on the porch steps, arms wrapped around his ribs. His face looks like it has not decided whether to cry. He watches 2 strangers move around inside like they own the place. When he sees my car, his shoulders finally drop an inch. You did not have to come, he murmurs as I climb out. His voice sounds scraped down to the metal. I am here, I answer, because that is the only fact that matters. Behind him, someone in uniform appears in the doorway. They look me over, then focus back on him with practiced calm. You his employer, the officer jerks their chin toward my badge. Yes, I answer, stepping closer so I can hear. We need a contact for arrangements, next of kin paperwork. Their tablet waits, ready for info he has never wanted to consider. He stares at the screen like it is a bomb. He is the only one, I say before he can shrink away. The officer nods and turns the tablet toward him instead. Initial here to acknowledge property release once the body leaves. The word body lands between us like a physical object. His hand shakes as he takes the stylus. Watching him scribble his name on that line feels wrong. This is the same kid who once used a fake crime as an excuse. Now he is signing off on the real thing in front of me. He wanted me to show up, I almost did not again. He hands the stylus back with his eyes locked on the doorway. Do you want a minute with him before they go? The officer's tone shifts just enough to sound human. Jake's throat bobs as he swallows, then he glances at me. You can wait out here if you need to, I offer. He shakes his head once, then motions for me to follow. Inside, everything is quieter than it should be. No muttered jokes, no forced stand-up routine from the couch. Instead, I see a form on a stretcher, sheet drawn up high. His hand rests on top, fingers still, wrist wrapped in a band. For the first time, there is no performance left in that room. Jake steps up and grips that hand without pulling the cover back. You got your final disappearing act, he whispers, voice cracking twice. No one else in the room says anything at all. He leans down until his forehead touches his father's knuckles. I am not turning this into some stupid clip, I promise. I hang back near the doorway, more intruder than guest. Part of me wants to leave them alone inside these thin walls. Another part remembers the last conversation with the older man. You see him crashing, you kick him toward here, not away. This is as close as I can get to honoring that request. After a minute, someone clears their throat and checks a watch. They need to move, they have other calls, other removals. Jake straightens, then lays the hand back down gently. Give me one more second, he mutters to the air above the sheet. His shoulders finally shudder once, hard enough to rock his stance. When they roll the stretcher out, he steps aside but not far. He tracks every inch until the wheels hit the threshold. Once the van doors close outside, the house feels hollow. He stares at the empty space where the frame used to be. I can almost see the moment his brain stops expecting another call. We sit at the kitchen table while the last official finishes notes. Jake answers questions in clipped phrases, all function, no cushion. Cause, time, belongings, keys, they march down the list. I can see the strain in his face as each detail lands. Every answer nails the reality in place a little tighter. When the officer finally leaves, the door clicking shut echoes. Jake lets out a slow exhale and slumps in the chair. My joke finally caught up to me, he whispers, staring at the table. I know which one he means without him saying it aloud. This was always where that phrase was heading. You stopped using it before today, I remind him quietly. He nods, rubbing his eyes with the heels of his hands. Yeah, it got less funny every time he coughed. He drops his hands and looks at me straight on. Now whenever someone uses it online, I want to smash their screen. At work, you will not hear that word. Again, I tell him. He huffs out something close to a laugh, but it dies quick. That is not what I am asking for. I know, I answer, and for once I really do. You are asking for space to grieve like an actual person. He glances at his phone when it buzzes on the counter. Messages start piling in once the news hits the small circle. He turns the device face down before reading any of them. I do not want thoughts and prayers texts right now, he mutters. I want someone to rewind 12 hours and make me pick up. I cannot do that, so I do the only thing in my lane. We will mark 3 days for this, I say, not hiding it in soft language. Real bereavement this time, not some vague emergency slot. He nods slowly, absorbing that more than anything else. 3 days does not feel like enough, he admits, but it is a start. I can adjust if the service lands outside that window. I am already thinking through schedules and overtime and coverage. For once, the logistics do not make me resent the request. If anything, I resent that we ever tried to measure grief in shifts. That thought will stick with me long after this house clears out. On the drive back, he rides with me again by choice this time. He stares ahead, fingers tapping his leg in uneven patterns. You know HR is going to ask you for documentation again, he says. Death certificate, funeral pamphlet, all the greatest hits. There is a bitter humor in his voice that feels earned now. I will handle that part, I answer, turning onto the main road. You just have to bring what they ask for when you can. He nods, then leans his head back against the rest. If they doubt it after this, that is their problem. He closes his eyes, but I can tell he is not sleeping. The next week when he returns, the crew watches him carefully. No one cracks a dark gag, no one mentions his earlier stunt. Someone starts to use that old space phrase and bites it back mid-word. Jake notices, looks at me, and gives the smallest grateful nod. The language in our building shifts a degree that day. He moves slower for a while, more focused, less wild. He still laughs, but there is weight behind it now. I catch him checking his phone sometimes, then remembering there will be no new voicemail. He pockets it and walks back to his station without drama. The absence settles into our routine like another quiet employee. Every time I approve time off now, I pause longer than before. I listen for what people are actually trying to say between their excuses. Sometimes they tell the real reason, sometimes they reach for easy fiction. I do not always drive them to their worst moments, but I also do not shrug them off. I learned that once you let death be a punchline in a workplace, it never really leaves. Months later, whenever some customer throws that old intergalactic verb around, I flinch. They mean it as a joke about a lost package or broken gadget. To them, it is just internet noise turned into casual speech. To me, it is the sound of a kid shaking on a porch signing for a body. And every time I hear it, I think about a time clock beeping while someone's world actually stopped.